What's up guys, Shouri here, and today we're going to have a full-on Ruby tutorial. Even if you kind of know how to play her, please don't skip this part. Because she throws the 3 blades in a horizontal pattern, if they are moving away from you, then you're going to have a really hard time hitting all 3 of them. But the closer you are to them, and especially if they're moving directly to you or away from you in a straight line, you can start to hit all 3, and even with body shots, that's better than anything else. So try to get up close, and if you can get them running directly in front of you or towards you, that is the best optimal solution. And Mystic Shields are just each pane that blocks damage, does 6,300 each. Ruby's Blast card with a direct hit will hit for 1,500. It does take a second to charge, and then it'll stun and knock them back. So the best thing is, if you're very close, it'll also fire off all your bullets and can hit them for basically an instant 3k, almost getting a KO if you have any damage on the target already, or if you just hit them a couple more times. It is an insanely good thing, especially when you can stop people's ults. That being said, the Ruby ult is a lot less powerful than it used to be. At least it feels that way to me, which is definitely a good thing. But the thing is, you need to make sure that you are ready and facing the target because it doesn't last that long. But if you see an Osis use his ult, then you can stun him and stop it in its tracks. So then, if you get really low, you can pop your ult and then throw out some shields for you and the boys, and then just clean up the rest of the kills. And also, if you have the passive, you get an extra 10% damage reduction being near your shields. And if you're the only Vanguard, that's a 20% damage reduction on top of that, which is nuts. But if you really want to win games, this is the best strategy. Don't worry, I will show multiple strategies. I think there's 3 or 4. This one works the best to win games. And the first thing you want to do is hit the like button and subscribe. It helps this video in the algorithm, which in turn makes me want to spend hours making more of these for other heroes. Anyways, basically the whole premise of this is if you have at least one healer on your team, you want to make sure that you're playing cautious. So we had this guy on our team, which really sucked because when you have someone who's playing Vincent and doesn't really care if your team wins, you can kind of get trapped in a really, really bad spot. Luckily for me, I realized that was going to happen, so instead of getting slaughtered by the Gatlin, I went around to the right side and then just used the cart to be able to not only heal me, but also to protect me so we didn't have to waste my shields or the Jabalis, and they had to come in close to us. And as soon as they get close to you as a Ruby, they are screwed. Especially because right there, we're going to go ahead and stun them. And then me and the Jabali are just going to take him out like it's nothing. And since only offense can get healed by the cart, these up-close cart battles are absolutely devastating for the other team. And luckily, we also have a good Sindri that's with us. And make sure you are looking for that little circle. That's the Sindri's healing effect. You need to be within that little green circle around you, or you are not going to be healed. You can also see the blue little octagon-y looking thing. That is your shield healing effect for you only. So if you can be within both of those, you won't take nearly as much damage. And as you can see here, what we're doing isn't necessarily even trying to damage them. Of course, we want to put some out. But mostly what we're doing is using the cart to our benefit to keep kiting the other team around it. That way, our team has the best possible chance of catching them when they're out, and they do as little damage to us as possible. It leaves our shields the most healthy, and it allows us to just take less damage. But right here, we saw the Gatlin in their ult, so we had to go out and cut them off on the other side. He was going to absolutely mow our team down, but you're paying attention as the Ruby, you can go over there, stun them, and it's not even a problem. Now we're basically just making sure the cart is taking a lot of the brunt of this force for us, and then we are keeping our shields out. We saw their Ruby coming behind us, so we want to go back here and try to stun him. I think I ended up missing somehow, which is fine. He ends up getting the heal, which is not fine. But luckily for me, my teammates did a great job. And even though our healer's dead right now, our tank is doing an amazing job to stay alive. Great job from Chainsaw here. And we are going to back up and stay next to him. In that way, we can both use each other's shields. And right now, what I'm mostly waiting for is my ult to come up. Because as soon as that comes up, I can pop it and we're in business, which is exactly what happens. And then we can kind of move out. Basically, the whole strategy with Ruby that works is making sure that when your healer dies, or you are getting rushed by a bunch of people, that you try to get behind an object, throw some shields out, not just for you, but make sure that they're going in the direction of your team. And you'll see at the end of this game exactly why I'm saying you need to make sure that you're focusing on keeping your team alive with these shields. Putting your shields between your team and the biggest amounts of damage is going to keep your healers alive longer, which will make sure that everyone else stays alive longer. And the more fights you have with 4 to 5 people, or even 3, is going to increase the likelihood you're going to survive until the next guys that died come back, and then you can end up getting that full 5v5 fight. So our Jabali ran in there by himself, but we're not doing that. We were waiting for our team. Once our team gets here and they start to push in, we're going to push in. And remember, we want those fresh shields up almost as much as possible. That way the cooldown will refresh even sooner and we can keep everyone as healthy as we can. But the biggest thing is we have a Vincent who's basically not playing because most Vincents do that. They can't help in team fights, so they're kind of useless. But right there, I see the Gloria Bomb, and what I do is I go stun the Ruby, and then I go straight to put my shields between their Gatlin and my team, because my team is in a lot of trouble here. And I also realized that my ult was about to be up, so I needed to keep them all alive just long enough for me to be able to pop that ult, and now we're all here for the ult, and it's an easy win after that. We do go 11-2 with 9 assists, but here's the really interesting stuff. We took 445,000 damage, but they did 1.2 million. That's all because of shields, baby. And that's why you want to have those shields refresh as much as possible and use other things than shields for your health to stay up, because the longer you're alive, the more shields you can put out and the more wasted effort, damage, and cooldowns you can get from the other team. And that is what you want to do. But sometimes your team just isn't going to be good enough. You are going to have to get the kills. And a lot of you are going to actually just play Ruby wrong and want to get all the kills and just screw your team over, which, I mean, hey, as long as you're having fun, go for it. But this is the strategy for you. If you don't have what we had last game where the healer is near the cart and going to be helping everybody out all the time, or if the healer dies a lot, you may have to just decide to go all aggressive. Or if you're the guy who takes Ruby and doesn't help the team but instead goes for a ton of kills, then this strategy also works. So basically what you want to do is you want to get up as close as you can to the target, and then you want to hit your shields, and then you want to basically try your best to weave in and out of them and just get them to basically have no choice but to take the full brunt of all of your blades and have absolutely no way to hit you. And when they do hit you, it will be mitigated by some of the shield because you get the 10% mitigation, and then also some of them you'll be on the right side of the shield basically. So that's really what you want to do, is you want to get up close and personal. But you do have to be careful with this. You need to know where every heal is on the map, because likely you're going to have to heal yourself back. Because either with this strategy, your teammates aren't really going to be helping you, or you're doing something bad and they're not going to want to help you. But Ruby doesn't really need help. As long as you are careful and you make sure to stun people as much as you can when you go in for the kill, enclose that distance on them, and then throw your shields on them, you can do so much. And just jumping back and forth like that, you will hit way more shots than they will if you aim for the body while jumping up and down, side to side. But the one thing you still need to do is go for the Johnny Jet. Unless there's a hunter, you are going to have much easier of a time of getting that JJ than pretty much anyone else. So if you see a JJ or even an Aletta, you should definitely go for it. It's just common courtesy. And also, now that you can stun them, it's even easier. Right there, we do go ahead and see a guy low, and we do some throwing knives a little bit far away. But you have to remember, the old Ruby's distance does not work anymore. The damage does drop off, and it's a lot faster. So you do have to be closer. This character can't be a long-range hero anymore. It definitely is a short-range hero, medium at best. But what you want to do in this strategy is save your shields a lot more than have them go off cooldown all the time. Because like I said, you need to put them out right on top of you, because you're going to need to be up close to do that damage. So it is a lot different. It is basically the complete opposite. Because instead of trying to mitigate all of the damage for your team, you're trying to make sure that you can survive and win every one-on-one fight. But this means you can't run away and hide while your shields protect your team. You have to get the kill, which means you have to be up close. So you want the shields to be thrown as close as possible to your target, and then you get in there and then go for it. Right here, that's exactly what we're doing. We see where the Johnny Jet's puddle is, so we go ahead and throw our shields at it. Right now, we do have our team right here, and this team is doing a much better job than they did earlier. So I do want to kind of sit here with my team and help them out, because while we are focusing more on us getting some kills and doing a lot more of the damage instead of just playing an only protector role, what we do still have to do is help in team fights, because if they have all 5 of their guys coming, you need to be there for your team, because if they all die because you're not there, you're going to die 1v5, so it doesn't help you either. So if you see a large group of people fighting 3v3 or more, you want to go in there and put the odds in your team's favor, because it'll be better in the long run no matter what. Right here, I do see this Gatlin, and I get the heal, throw out some fresh shields, and while he runs away, I know he's going to come back as soon as he gets armor regen, so I'll just wait for him instead of have him have no health and then just kill us all in the back. And then we do get the Fade to one-shot. I have no idea how the Fade's not dead right there. Thankfully, we do have our Sindri kill him, and there's a guy on top of this left building, but he's not as much of a threat as the guys on the right. And so right here, I'm trying to flank around behind this Ruby, but then my teammate in front of me dies, and I realize I am super screwed here. But I wanted to try to get the heals so the other team couldn't. It didn't end up working, but now we have 22 seconds left in our spawn, and I might even be able to get my ult up before the game ends. Right here, first thing I do is throw down my ult, and now we are playing purely defensive. I am just running ring around the Rosie, hoping I can get some heals from the Sindri long enough to get my ult. We throw some shields out, hoping we can block anything at all, which is exactly what happens, and then we are actually able to kill enough people, and our teammates do a great job to go ahead and get that victory. We do have 16 kills, 5 deaths, and 12 assists, and we do the most damage, but I definitely would recommend you doing your best to go ahead and protect everybody, especially the higher you go in the ranks. But sometimes your teammates don't know how to play. You're going to be platinum and get matched with silver and gold players, and then your team's just not going to have a healer. What do? Well, you're going to play super bait. What you want to do is you want to agitate their team and get them to chase you. And then you want to put your shields between you and them, and then just keep them chasing you. But the key to this is you need to make sure that they are between a teammate of yours that is doing a lot of damage. So the other team chases you, you go get a heal, and it all works out. You need skill, a little luck, and you have to pay attention. That noise was the Osis ulting, and then I hit him with a stun immediately. Even though I couldn't see him, I knew it would do it, and it was my only option to live because we don't have a healer. And then I see the 2 people in front of me. I'm going to go ahead and stun the healer and pop my ult, which does get them both, and it allowed us to end up winning that game. Once I respawned, it was just 1 kill, and then we won. But I do definitely recommend you probably go healer if your team doesn't have one. Someone else will most likely pick up the Ruby for you, or a Jabali. It's just going to be a lot better than not having one. But if you do get stuck in that situation, especially in the lower ranks, that wasn't platinum, but it's very hard to do. So, at least now you know. But the main thing that you want to do as the Ruby that is so good is the last stand ability. Just the ability for you to be able to stop everything in the world from screwing your team over. And as long as you look for that little green circle from that Sentry, you can heal up so quickly, and you can always have shields out to keep your team alive, and most importantly, keep the Sentry alive. And this will just end up making it to where people cannot move the cart at all. Especially if you have something like a Gatlin that's doing a lot of damage, and you and the Sentry both know to protect it. It is very annoying, and why almost every single comp in Diamond has a Gatlin, a healer, and a tank. But the biggest thing you want to get from this is making sure that you're paying attention so you can stun people through their ults, and making sure that you know your shields matter. When it is a last stand situation, please don't go rogue. Please do what I said in the first segment, where the best way to play, do that. I know it's fun sometimes to run off as the Ruby and go and get a lot of kills or whatever, but in order to do that, a lot of the time, if your teammates are actually playing correctly, that just means you're leaving them high and dry, and you're basically just getting your KD to go up, and most likely going to lose games that you and your team should not have lost. So if you have a situation like this where it's getting down to the last minute and a half, everybody else is playing correctly, and you're on the Ruby, please, dear God, give them shields, stay next to the Sentry, and make sure that you are being the best team player you can be. Because remember, you are choosing one of the characters that someone else could have took, so it's a vital character. You really need to play it correctly towards the end of the games, especially when it's close. But that was in the midpoint. This is at the end of the game, and this is also more about something that happens when you're in Platinum, and hopefully after the season will be like in Gold or Silver, where you have Payload Extended. What this is where both sides attack and defend. That makes it a much more fair process, but it also means that you aren't just trying to shut them out when they're the attacker, but you're also trying to just slow them down to give you more time when you're the attacker. And so, basically, they had just mowed down through everybody until there was about 4 minutes left. They had gotten through the middle gate, already almost rounded this corner, and we just now stalled them for a good 50, 60 seconds without them really doing too much. I do overextend there and get killed, but we kill enough of people that it's really not that bad. And right here, I am really the only one alive, and I have a couple of teammates like behind me, and thank God for that lob, but lob right next to you at this endpoint is a hard thing to do. He does get targeted immediately, and it is rough. Sadly, we get ulted by 3 of our people, and that's rough too. And then our Judix gets ulted here and killed, but it was just enough time to get me into place, and we are able to get on this cart with 2 minutes left, and it was really about 2:20. And right here, we are just dancing around the cart, doing our best to just stall time, keep our shields out, and stay out of the line of sight of Gatlin. Make sure you know where that Gatlin is at all times, because if you can just line of sight them, it's like they're not even there. And you can worry about dodging the fade and just doing damage and keeping you and your team alive as much as possible. The Gatlin does move in and kill me, but we saved like 3 minutes on the clock, which gives you a much better chance when it's your turn to attack. But then in Bronze, just go ahead and get like 35 kills. I mean, you are basically God. Just like Jordy is basically God when he's creating thumbnails. And he can create your thumbnails too. Go to my description, get his Discord info, and you can set up a deal with him so he can make your thumbnails too. He has great prices and amazing service. I highly recommend him. Please guys, share this video, like, and subscribe if it helped you. These more informative and helpful videos do take longer to edit, and they also take longer to make, and they're just harder in general. So if you guys like this kind of content, please make sure you show your support, because that will make me want to make more of them for all the other heroes, because it is a lot of work, which I'm happy to do, but only if you guys like this kind of content. Please let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all the good things. Thank you very much, and have a great day.